If land is so expensive, if it's so hard to find, so much to buy, then how can people afford it?
They're not making any more of it. I get it. That makes the prices of it so high that most people see it as out of reach or they can't afford it. And realistically, it is enough of it for everyone to own, but how do we buy it? Okay, more importantly, how can we make money from it? Others will say, can I really get rich with it? Land is one of those real estate investments that you can do so many different things with, yet the only time people see and view land is when they're looking at a farm. Today, I want to go over a few different ways I'm making money from land and how you can get rich with land, not just flipping land, but also cash flowing and make monthly profits, and then also setting up different business entities where you can make more than just a rent check. What's up guys, it's your boy Swan Belcher. This is me taking action, and today let's get right into the video. We always talk about making money with real estate. Okay, at the end of the day, you all probably know this already, but most people who are millionaires in some form or fashion, whether they got their million from real estate or not, they turn around and put money back into real estate because real estate is one of those shelters that can give you tax benefits. Okay, appreciation, that means it grows over time after, once you buy it, and then depreciation, once again, as a tax shelter. And it allows you to make monthly income just from owning it. Now, I know like the perceived notion is when people buy land, they have money, okay? And people will use that word have as though it's like saved up and stored somewhere. But realistically, real estate provides us cash flow. It allows us to get money consistently. Okay, so you need to be able to figure out not just how to find property and how to negotiate deals, but also how to fund them and be able to receive money consistently. Make sense? Because whenever you're able to buy something one time and then consistently get paid, of course you're consistently getting paid. So you're getting paid to keep it. You're using it to pay your mortgage. You're using it to pay for maintenance. You're using it to pay for your taxes on the property. You're using it to pay for your lifestyle on the property, right? You're using those profits to, buy a motorcycle, right? Buy a car, pay for your house. And those are the income streams that we're going to break down today. Is how can you get everything that you want? Forget that. How can you get rich just off of land? And so I want to list out 7 different ways of how you can make money in land that I've personally done before. Okay. Now, the very first way that I like to make money with land is buying it as is and selling it as is. Okay. Don't make this hard. They're not making any more of it. This is one of those commodities that it doesn't have any choice but to go up in value. Okay. So one of my favorite strategies of flipping land is literally just buying it below market value, in particular 20 cents on the dollar. Okay. And then listing it with a realtor as is, not adding any value to it, not adding any value at all. Simply buying it as is, selling it as is. Now, the way I determine my price with this particular strategy is simply by looking at the tax records. Now, you got to be careful with this because a lot of the times the tax records will have like a building value as well. So let's say that a house shows up on a code violations list and they're like a habitual, code violation felon, in our county, after about 6 years, it goes into the pending demolition list and the city knocks the house down. Okay. But with the tax records, that building value for the house stays added to the land value. And then that provides a total tax value. You have to be careful of that because we don't want to pay 20% of the building and land value. We only want to pay 20% of the land value. Now, another way to figure out how much you should be paying is to simply pull comps. Now this could be very hard because of course you got to stay in a certain radius, but land has different attributes that makes it worth more, worth less. Okay, so number one is it buildable or not? You know, not by theory, but has it been perked? So whenever you're talking to sellers or agents who have land for sale, you might want to ask them, has it been perk tested yet? A perk test is done by the city or engineer or architect, and it says, hey, this land is buildable for this size house, square footage, beds and baths, okay? And when it passes that perk test, that helps you be able to know what size house could fit on it. So that way you can know how much that house is going to cost. And so that way you can know how much that house will sell for, so you can do your numbers. And so you can look at comps in the area of what land, all right, has been sold for recently. Okay. Now, once again, you got to be careful with this because it could have city connections to it. It could have a septic or well. You just have to make sure you ask those questions to determine what the real value is and what that land has in order for you to kind of know what the value is. Now, don't forget, in these sales, you don't have to always sell for cash. Okay. So if you want to buy it cash yourself because you're able to pick up some land for, you know, 5, 10, 15. I've picked up 5 acres for $20,000 before. You can always, if it's more beneficial for you, to sell that land at a way higher price on payments. Okay, for instance, we've sold some land that we pretty much made a 10x return on. Okay, so I think we purchased it for $10,000 and sold it for $100,000 with $10,000 down and collected a monthly payment over time. So don't just limit yourself to buying them cash and selling them cash. You can also do these creatively for seller financing and subject to. We have several videos here on the YouTube channel about that. Okay. Now, the second way you can use your land to make money is by developing it. Okay, now don't let this scare you because you're not a developer. I get it. You know, and developing can seem like a very complicated process. But realistically, before development is actually started, a plan has to be put in place. Yeah, let me go over this with you. So I purchased a house in Greensboro on Franklin Boulevard, and it came with 2.5 acres. It's right there on a corner lot. You guys know it if you're in the area. Okay. A&T, right after I purchased it, A&T started building a pavilion for their agricultural students and department. And after they were done, okay, I noticed that the school buses would start to bring the students over. I figured, since I have so much acreage right across the street from the pavilion, I probably could section off the house from the 2 acres and plan to put housing there for the students. Okay, now I haven't finished the full process, but this is how it started. Okay, this is how it started. So first of all, I went down to the city to say, hey, I got this land. Can I split this off? They said yes, but you'll need to hire an architect and an engineer to help you come up with a plan to design the roads, to design the sewer system, and also to plan out how many properties you can put there in the bedrooms and baths. Okay, so now I found out Mr. Rupert, he helped me draw it out. He helped me draw out essentially the complex, and we had to take that drawing over to the city to get approved. Now the city said, hey, we don't like this, change it up and make it this way. Hey, we don't like how many bedrooms you have, change it up so it's 2 bedrooms, 2 baths, and then 3 bedrooms, 1 bath. And we ended up going from 30 units down to 24. We ended up with a road. We ended up with a road with a couple different sections. And instead of doing single family houses, we ended up with townhouses. But after about 2 years of going back and forth with them, they had approved the plan. Okay, they had approved the plan. Now, after the plan was set up, my next thing that I had to do is actually connect with a surveying company and to split off the land so that way it can be 2 different deeds of trust. So that way it can be, so that way the house can have its own deed. Okay, so I had to go through with my banker that financed it for me and making sure he was okay with letting the 2 acres go and just keeping the 1/2 acre and the house together. And then I had to also go through the city again, make sure that I was cutting my line exactly to where the plans they had agreed to were okay. Now, I did run into a few hurdles, but we actually got the house and the land finally separated after 4 years of going through this planning period. Now, I was thinking I would do the development myself, okay? But realistically, it's taken me so long to do the planning portion. Luckily, I've had tenants in this house renting it over and over again from me. And I've refinanced the property once or twice. So I've been making money while I'm doing this, okay? But I had somebody approach me, the same guy that helped me do it, Mr. Rupert. He said, well, look, I got a guy that would be willing to buy the plans. I know you don't want to sell the plans, but if you ever did want to sell the plans to that development, somebody would be willing to pay you for your 4 years of work. And I thought that was almost a play. I felt that was a play because realistically, all I had to pay was maybe $5,000 or $6,000 in a little time, and I could sell this land that I already purchased with this house for an obscene amount of money. I haven't decided whether I'm gonna sell it or not, but I just thought that was cool that I could get into development without really developing. Now, if you do want to take it to the next level, you can actually get in and start doing that work yourself, and actually take it full scale in development. But you can break development down into pieces and get paid along the way. Okay. Now, the third way you can get paid with land is actually using that land to rent. Okay. There are several people who are willing to rent land. You're going to have to open up your mind a little bit. Okay. You have to open up your mind and you have to think, okay, who needs my land? Understand that most people, don't know how to buy land. They think that they can't afford it and they don't know what to do with it when they get with it. But there are certain people who need land and who are willing to pay for it even if they don't own it. Okay, so let's go through a little list that I came up with. Farmers. Farmers are farmers. They know how to, grow crops. They know how to sell crops. That doesn't necessarily mean that they have the funds or want to own land. Okay, just like Walmart, they don't own any of their buildings. They know how to sell products. So they allow a real estate investor to rent them, a whole building. Okay, several of them, thousands of them. Okay, so farmers will rent your land from you and they'll rent by the acre. It's very easy to find them. Okay, secondly, festivals and food truck companies. In every city and state, there are companies who all they do is have food truck festivals, state fairs, local fairs, and they rent land for a week or 2 weeks in order for them to host their festivals and events on someone else's land. Okay, you can easily search up. Matter of fact, next time you go to a state fair, make sure you go to the little customer service stand and get the contact information for the circus, fair, or whoever hosting the event. Call them and see if they're looking to expand and set up shop in a different venue, a different land for a different festival that they want to throw, and they'll rent the land from you in order for them to make money for their festival. Okay. Next are football leagues and soccer leagues and all of these outside sport leagues. Okay, these adult teams and youth teams, they realistically don't own a gym or own a field. They are going to high school games. They're going to the Boys and Girls Club, the YMCA, and local private owners to rent their fields for their football, baseball, and soccer games. Okay, so realistically, if you had, like I do, if you have 5 acres of flat land, right, you can fit 100 yards by 50 yards. That's big enough for a football field. Okay, why would you not reach out to the youth football league, someone who has 10 teams, and say, hey, every Saturday you can pay me $500 to host your games right here on my land. And if you think about it, whenever you have a big event like this, people that are hosting those big events, they also attract other people who need them. Think about it. Food truck vendors want to go to events where there are a lot of people at, so that way it'll be easier for them to sell their food. That's why food trucks typically set up on main roads. So I got these food trucks to pay me in order to be on my land whenever we host these football games. Ain't that cool? Ain't that cool? All right, so look, let's get to the next way you guys can make money with land. Now, most of you guys are familiar with Airbnb, okay? Now, they recently started, when I say recently, I mean like in the last year, they started this experience tab, okay? The experience tab is not necessarily all stays, you know, it's experiences. And one thing that most people in this day and age want to experience is outdoor living, is camping, okay? Is, you know, them driving around in an RV, finding somewhere nice to sit and park for the night and move on. There's also websites dedicated directly to land, like hipcamp.com. If you have land, people want to use your land so they can set up shop for the night and camp. Okay. What is it called? What's the girls and boys people? Yeah. Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts, when they go camping, they are renting land for their students, for their members to come for the night so they can have a safe place, so they can have a dedicated place to camp out for the night. They're renting that for the night. Why would they not pay you? Well, I can tell you the only reason why they're not paying you is because you haven't asked them to pay you. Matter of fact, real quick, one thing that I've been going through over the last several months, really this last quarter, is that the things that you have right now is because you asked for it. So really, if you want more, you are just not asking for enough. Okay, so you can put your land on sites like Airbnb under the experience tab or set it up on HipCamp. Okay, now that brings us to the next way that you can make money with your land. Okay, is renting it to people who have RVs. Now, my friend Kirby, he actually has some land, and he had electricity poles set up, and then he put in a septic tank as well, and had these septic tank connections hooked up. And I was trying to figure out exactly what he was doing. Maybe he was developing land to build houses, but turns out he has about 12 different spots that RVs can come to, connect to, and be able to use for their stays. And I don't know why I didn't think about this before, but he said he gets some more traveling nurses doing that, because I get traveling nurses for my Airbnbs. But he says he gets a lot of traveling nurses doing that because they're traveling and they have these RVs. They're going hospital to hospital during the year. So that's a great way to make money with your land. Now, lastly, this is not necessarily like a way that you guys are going to be thinking, about of how to get rich with land. But it's one thing that I realized that a lot of guys do that have land, and realistically, owning a tractor is one of those harder things to do. I don't think most people know, but tractors, the big machines that people have to maintain land, I don't think people know how expensive these machines are. Like a small subcompact tractor, that's like 25, horsepower, typically is going to run you, $10,000 to $20,000. Not including the attachments that you might want, and then really, if you want to get something that's, more upscale that could handle more, like slopes and actually maintaining it at a higher level, really you're going to pay $60,000 to $120,000 for these kind of tractors. And so, when you buy land and you want to maintain it and make money with it, you're probably going to need one of these tractors. So that way you're not paying other people all of your profits that you're making. So when you invest in those assets, when you invest in that equipment, believe it or not, people will want to rent that from you, and other people will want to partner with you to use that equipment so that way they can make money with you. So realistically, when you look at the overall picture, land might look expensive on the front end, but realistically, everybody wants land because you have the opportunity to make money by flipping it, make money by collecting monthly cash flow, make money by getting, tax benefits on your taxes, and then also make money in appreciation. So don't miss out thinking that you can get land, okay? And I'm gonna leave this video right here for you so that way you can see how I'm coming up with the list of people to call, to market to make offers to, so that way you can pick up your next land lot and make some money. Peace, y'all. Have an amazing day.